Mosaic Mom, aka Sierra McDowell, and today we are getting into my trip out to Utah at Cognitive FX, which is a neurotreatment center for post-concussion syndrome. So I'm going to start off with showing you a bit of the place, and so you can just kind of get an idea of what it looks like and how it is run. And I'm going to show you some clips of just like my time there and how I was processing some of the information and the things that were being thrown at me, and also going into some of my scans. I'm not going to give you all of that because it is way too much information and would be very boring. After that, I'm going to walk you through some of the therapies that we did, why we did them, and also how I am doing now and how my secondary scans were after I had done my week of treatment. This is walking into Cognitive FX. It is state of the art, it is beautiful, and everyone is so freaking kind. They really just champion you on the entire time because it is hard work. Everyone on staff is so qualified and absolutely amazing. They give you these lockers that you can put your stuff in, and then this is my favorite room to relax in between therapies. We can go down the hall and there are so many rooms. Some of them are to relax in, some of them are for therapies. They also have an extensive history with some amazing work they have done. Now, this is the main waiting area where you will be in between each therapy, and they provide you an amazing lunch every single day. That is so good. You'll get to meet some of the other people that you are there with in this room and spend some time with them, hearing their stories if you're interested. The first day is all about doing some evaluations to see where you are functioning and then getting your functional MRI scan completed. This was fascinating.
These are your scores, and I'll explain everything. So we're looking at two different scores. The brain region score, that's the black bar up here, and that has to do with how well those brain regions are metabolizing its fuel, its resources. Now, this gray bar here has to do with the connectivity score, and that is how well those regions are communicating with one another while you're performing a task. So you're pretty much in the right place since your score is well within that range. And so what does this mean? And so our goal for treatment would be to move both these scores down.
I was afraid that I was going to come in and get the scan and you guys were going to be like, there's nothing actually wrong with you.
Well, if
I was like,
that
oh
were the
no,
case, I know.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, well, like, at least I guess this is validating. We trust our patients to really know their baseline because to me, you look completely normal.
If you're struggling with post-concussion syndrome, or if you are wondering if you are or not, please listen to this
They
part.
kind of struggle with feeling like they've been heard, like in the healthcare landscape. A lot of times they're made to feel like they're lying or they're crazy or this is all they can do, and as long as they're walking, talking, they're fine. I think if there's other solutions that could improve your quality of life, go for it. Especially since you have had so many concussions, you're a great candidate for treatment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, I think this happens a lot with like young men. They come in and they were doing sports all throughout their teenage years. They're like, but I didn't even have that bad of an injury this time around, but everything got, kind of flipped upside down.
Yeah.
And it's because your brain did not forget necessarily while you were asymptomatic.
Yeah.
It became more and more sensitive and vulnerable over time. And so you having so many concussions, good for you for being here, honest.
Editing me here, and I need to put in a bit of a disclaimer. I know this is super sloppy and I should do my due diligence and like finish this whole thing the proper way. However, at this time in my life, I just really need to move on to the next thing. So that's where I'm at right now. I was not working with Cognitive FX at all in putting this video together. So some of the things that I'm explaining or I'm talking about might not be 100% accurate. So in the next video, if someone points something out to me or if they watch this video and they're like, hey girl, why were you saying this? That's not it. Then I will address it in my next video because I'm playing it. My dad just died and I just need to like move on with a few things, and I'm playing that card right now and I don't feel bad about it. So watch the next video because there might be some corrections. All right, let's get back. One of the other things she brought up in my scan was that I have a dysregulated autonomic nervous system, also known as dysautonomia. It is a nervous system disorder that disrupts automatic body processes, your blood pressure, your heart rate, your body temperature, and so much more. So one of the things that we really use to hone in on this is working on cardio, where you do 3 intervals for 30 seconds. And we do it twice a day in this amazing cardio room. The reason why they focus in on interval training is because it releases a certain chemical in your leg muscles that help promote neuroplasticity. I really had no idea how much my dysautonomia was affecting my everyday life. In this video, we're actually working on breathing because my brain was not telling my body the right way to breathe anymore.
Doctor, the other day, she was saying how there's a difference between like depletion and depression. Depletion is from like a brain injury because like it affects more things, and like depression is a secondary from that because of how it has affected you. I know that I've struggled with depression, but I've been rethinking this idea of like depletion. Today, like if I were home, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm just having one of those like bad days, like a low day. And I am, but I think she might be right. And I think that it can lead into depression very easily. I think that it was for like a long time. I think the last 6 months, it is more depletion than depression, but only if I'm doing a good job of keeping myself grounded in God's truth. But I was telling Kevin this morning that I'm like, I feel like I just need a minute. I like get up, I get ready. It's like back-to-back appointments. I eat, do more therapies, and then I get back to the hotel, I eat, and then I like lay in bed. Those have been my days. So I'm thinking I have a little bit of a shorter day today, and I'm kind of hoping that I do, just so I can like just chill for a minute. But for right now, I am off to day number 3.
This morning started a little bit rough. However, it turned into ending up being like really great afternoon after I did like my group cardio, and then I got a massage, which was wonderful. And I had some awesome conversations with some of the other patients there just about their stories and how they're feeling. And everyone was kind of at the spot where it's like, no one wanted to be there today. No one wanted to get out of bed because yesterday was, I don't know, at least for me, it was a rough day. But it was really encouraging and just so cool being able to seeing the difference, especially in like this one particular person, seeing the difference in him from like day 1 to today was wild. However, after we had a great lunch, I went to COG, which is cognitive therapy. And then I have a hard time with working memory, but all of a sudden it just hit me and I just start crying. She was so helpful because she was explaining to me like what is happening with that and how those neurons are so weak, and I like why I was having such a visceral response. Is that the right word? One, like my brain was just in pain, and it's like it went into protective mode because it's like, no, we don't do this, we can't do this. So like it was trying to get me to stop, and that's where I started like panicking, and then your nervous system starts getting all crazy on you. And so I was crying because my brain was like, we don't know how to do this and we can't do this. So she was saying that like, I know this is hard, but you're actually like, what you just did is like making really good connections. And then she had me keep going after we took some breaks, and we do some bomb cupping where it's like you have these pressure points and like right here, and so you just like push right here and that helps. And I literally just sat there like this trying to remember. I started getting a really bad headache. I started feeling like shaky, and just like I would have punched a hole in the wall if I could, which so I had some self-control, but it was just raising. That was hard. But she said it's good to like just kind of release it, because I was trying not to cry, but like the more I was trying not to cry, the more I could not do the exercises, the more like I could not figure out what I was supposed to be doing. And then like when I just like started, like I was just had my eyes closed and I was just like crying, and then I started I could figure out the exercises a little bit better. Then I had neuromuscular therapy after that, but they just kind of took it slow on me. I also got a CO2 breathing treatment, I guess you can call it. And that really helped bring down my anxiety. That was definitely helpful, but they just took it slow with me. And then fortunately after that, I was done because today was my short day. I just feel like I have to sleep it off. So tomorrow is my last full day, which I don't know how I'm feeling about that, because I'm definitely seeing that this stuff is like helping and it's going to help. And I know it takes a couple of months, but I wish I'm not doing the 2 weeks because I want to get back to my family. But I see why they recommend you doing 2 weeks, because it's like we finally like we got to the root of all these things, and like we're setting up all these therapies and like we're doing all this work. But I see like doing the second week, it's like really like digging into it all more and solidifying some of it. But I'm gonna just like work really hard when I get back, like because yes, I'm seeing differences, and like I also can like they feel within reach. But I'm gonna have to keep going and ride off of this and to continue my healing journey. All right, I gotta be super quick because I slept last night, which was stinking amazing, but I just kept sleeping. But this morning I went into the shower and I closed my eyes to wash my face and I legit almost fell over. And we were working a lot on balance yesterday, which actually was getting better, but I'm not sure what that was about. I feel fine right now. But I guess they were explaining to me, like, when you're working on like all these things, it's like it can kind of spike all over for a little while. Today I'm going to try running on the treadmill, which cardio is really hard for me, and I stick to rowing because I feel like the bouncing with running like gives me a killer headache. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I'm not actually excited to run though because I hate freaking running. But I gotta go because I don't want to be late.
The only thing I was supposed to be doing in this is literally looking at that piece of paper and moving my head on an angle. Some of the exercises that they have you do seem like they should be so simple, but feel impossible at times. I'll let him explain.
So those sensors in the inner ear get off, and then when they don't send the right signals, your brain goes, I don't like when you activate those. So I'm going to do whatever I can. If I like tilt my head, if I do, then I'm getting other sensors to start to activate, and your brain just goes, oh, that's better, right? If I tilt my head instead of going here, you know. And so we've got to work on getting some of those canals to just activate and be like, oh, okay, it's not that big of a deal. Sometimes it can.
I'm working on some neuromuscular therapy. A lot of this ends up being eye movement, eye tracking, hand-eye coordination, balance, and things like that. Now, all the things that they have you do seem like they should be simple, but it's so stinking difficult. Now, this is the Dynavision board, and I could not stand this thing. You really are just tapping your feet and pressing buttons with your hands. But for some reason, it is so hard to know what you're supposed to be doing and how to do it because your body and your eyes, at least for me, don't always want to line up and do what I'm trying to get it to. Now, they also have these relaxation rooms, which are amazing, where you listen to brainwaves, and they have these CO2 suits that you wear, and I definitely took a good nap in them. Next, we have up the amazing Tomar. I just thought that was the coolest name. So anyway, this is really focusing in on your sound. This part was my evaluation, and it's helping you understand where the sounds are coming from so that your brain doesn't always respond to these sounds as threat, where your body becomes overwhelmed by simple noises like talking or a doorbell or ringing or something like that. So the idea is for your brain to be able to be trained to be able to identify where the sound is coming from so you're not as scared when it happens. Okay, I hope I can explain this next part to you. A lot of the things that they're having us do at Cognitive FX is multi-sensory activities. And the reason why is because when you have a concussion, there is like a block in your neural pathways. And so your brain tries to like kind of go around in different areas. But what they're doing by adding in multi-sensory activities is they're forcing your neurons to make stronger pathways and connections because it has no option and nowhere to go other than where it is that you're trying to focus it in on. And it feels so overwhelming at times that it can be discouraging. However, it's also a lot of fun. So in this, you're going to see I'm on a balance pad on my knees, and I had to pick up my arms and my legs on opposite sides and do a puzzle while she was asking me questions. It's that idea in order to get everything functioning the way that it's supposed to be.
Good job, good job.
On my last day, I got my final scans done and then got my amazing results.
After we talked yesterday, I was really panicking to stay. I'm gonna start crying again. I got a call from my husband, and my dad had 2 heart attacks last night, and it doesn't look like he's gonna make it, so I gotta go home now.
Keep us posted. We'll still be following up with you. So if you need to chat about anything, I feel like you had like a rough Wednesday. We got better Thursday. Yeah, and so just not stopping for the scans. And so we're looking at 2 different scores here, right? Both of your scores were within the moderately impaired range, right? No impairment, mild, moderate, severe. How well do you think you did today? I know that.
I don't know, like I felt like I did better in there, but I was
funny because those tasks in the second scan are usually it was a lot more difficult by design.
Oh, that's so cool.
You did so great. great because poster child for the trip.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I want to walk you through each of those, and so we can see what changed and how they changed. Do with the working memory component, and then this one here has to do with like your mental.
That's the one that got me crying the other day with working memory.
I'm so sorry.
No, but it's just funny that that's the one that jumps up.
Yeah, and I think that this one reacted quite significantly too.
Yeah.
And that one also has to do with emotional control, which is quite
Look
interesting.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Those two things are what was causing my meltdown.
Yeah.
So that's so
always,
cool to see.
I'm always happy when there's like really good, clean,
Uh-huh.
solid results.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm like, this is a great way for me to start my day, honestly.
If you caught this part or not, but one of the conversations that had taken place is they had recommended that I stay for another week because of some of my emotional regulation and some of the things that they were just kind of seeing and the way that I respond to some of the therapies. But as you see, I got some really horrific news about my dad, so I ended up going home. But I am still so excited in the results that I had in that 1 week. But I came back to a lot of stress and a lot of grief. However, I was still able, and I still am able to see a lot of changes since I have gotten back, and so have a lot of the people like around me. One of them is I'm not stuttering as much. 2, I am not as emotionally unregulated as I was before. I don't feel like I'm just gonna like flip a lid or I'm trying to like contain myself all day long. And I'm not crashing and burning like I was. So I'm going to do another update for you in the next couple of weeks so that you can track like if I think that it was still worth it and if I loved it, because I want everyone that has suffered from a brain injury or for post-concussion syndrome to know about this place, because it is life-changing. And there's so many times where you hear that there's nothing you can do. And it just is what it is, but that's not true. There is so much more that you can do. It's just like not known as well. And so if you know someone that has post-concussion syndrome or you think that they might, please, 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 please send this video to them so that they can try to discover everything on their own and see if this is going to be a good fit. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you can see my next video and continue to track along my concussion story with me.